Live from clickorlando.com and WKMG, we're getting results in your neighborhood. Now it's 6:30.
Right now at 6:30, we are just 30 minutes away from tonight's latest crewed launch, tonight's Crew-10 mission. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Lewis Bolden in for Matt, and we want to go ahead and get you straight to the action. News 6's Ginger Gadsden is live at the Kennedy Space Center tonight, and Ginger, we are getting close to finally getting this off the ground.
Lewis, I don't know why. I am nervous. I'm not going to space tonight, but it is so exciting to be here. We are now right at 33 minutes until go time, and it is so exciting. You can see that people are starting to gather, and I know that so many eyes are on this launch because it is very important. And, you know, Wednesday, we were in this very same situation. We were out here, the weather was picture perfect, everything was fine except at the last minute. About 4 hours before launch, they noticed there was some sort of problem, and then 45 minutes before launch is when they scrubbed. So I know everyone is getting ready, they're excited. I can't wait to see this thing lift off, and I know the folks who are out at the beach with Troy Campbell, who we'll see a little bit later on, they're excited too. Everyone's ready for this to happen. So after almost a week of sitting here at Kennedy Space Center, though, NASA and SpaceX, they really do hope to get this Falcon 9 rocket into orbit with that Dragon capsule on top. The rocket is set to take off again, as I said, at 7:03. And get these astronauts to the International Space Station. We showed you live during News 6 at 5 o'clock as the crew closed the Dragon capsule hatch, locking those astronauts inside. And if everything goes to plan, and we hope it does, they'll be let out in just about 24 hours from now. They'll arrive at the International Space Station tomorrow night sometime before midnight. They'll dock with that Harmony module, and then they will get on board the ISS. And boy, they're going to be a sight to behold. The 4 astronauts are made up of 2 NASA astronauts, Anne McClain and Nicole Ayers, as well as Russian cosmonaut Kirill Peskov and Japanese astronaut Takuya Onishi. We saw them all get suited up earlier today, and they've been hanging out here in Brevard County since last Friday. So you can imagine that they are ready to get the heck out of here. And just like these 2 are ready to come home, we're talking, of course, about Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams. They have been at the International Space Station since last June for what was supposed to be about a week-long trip to the International Space Station. They came or went up there on the Boeing Starliner capsule, but after the capsule's rocky trip into orbit, NASA decided not to risk it and not send them back home in it. So the capsule actually came back empty. They've been on the ISS ever since, and that is about 9 months in space. And I know they are excited to get back home, but anytime you hear them talk, they say they are doing work and they're excited to be on the ISS conducting all these experiments. Now, this will be the second attempt this week to get this rocket off the ground. I already mentioned it a little while earlier that Wednesday attempt was scrubbed just about 45 minutes before launch because of hydraulics and a hydraulics issue with the arm that keeps the rocket attached to the launch pad. And we want to stress that that scrub had nothing to do with the capsule itself that will be carrying those 4 souls to the International Space Station. And by all accounts, at least right now, the spacecraft is perfectly good to launch. And when it does, this will be the fourth time that particular Dragon capsule, Endurance, has launched into space. And right now, it's not just space nerds who are super excited, and I count myself as one of them, but people are gathering for launches like these. Spring breakers are here. They're on the beach. They're telling our Troy Campbell how excited they are as they get ready to witness history. We want to check in with Troy right now. And Troy, you've been kind enough to warn some people that they may hear some booms later on tonight.
Well, see, Ginger, that's because when we first got here, it was still like the spring break crowd. They were just out here. Some of them didn't know. But I've been saying that the crowds are expected to get larger. And take a look behind me now, just filling up the beach, people all facing one direction towards 39A. I would estimate there's at least a couple hundred people here that have walked on this side of the pier, young and old. Talk about passing time, kids in the water. just getting to swim a little bit on their spring break while the parents are sitting in their chairs waiting for the launch. All ages out here. We spoke to some people who said that they were thankful that the launch got scrubbed on Wednesday because they would only be in town here on Friday. So they were very thankful. Some, again, didn't know about the rocket launch, so we informed a lot of people they might hear some booms, those sonic booms, and they were pretty excited. We chatted with a couple of students here for spring break who definitely say they're looking forward to seeing this launch once we inform them. Take a listen.
That's sick. I'm honestly excited to see that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool to watch. We heard about one earlier this week and did not get to see it, I think.
So.
Yeah, it got, this specific one was supposed to go on Wednesday, and then they scrubbed
I
it.
heard about, yeah.
So now it's going to be this evening. What are you most looking forward to about it?
I've honestly never seen a rocket go off, so just to see one like go off, I guess.
I think the spectacle of it would be awesome, seeing it go up to space.
Too. Sitting on the beach and watching a rocket go off would be, like, I'd remember that for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and it took him to say that to kind of pause and realize how lucky we are, and we can't take the beach for granted here in Central Florida. But to be on the beach as the sun is starting to go down, the crowd here behind me is just getting larger. People just continuously funneling in here. What is sure to be a great launch now, under a half an hour away. Ginger?
Troy, the way you describe that, it sounds like you're about to write a romantic poem or something, or some sort of love story, because it's just, I mean, they're on the beach with sunset, a rocket launch. Oh my goodness, fireworks.
It
next.
sounded so
All
good.
right, Troy, great job painting that picture. It does, Michelle. It sounds fantastic. If it doesn't go off tonight, it certainly will not be blamed on the weather. But didn't he paint a perfect picture?
He really did. Like, when he was talking about it, I literally saw it in my head. I'm like, wow, that's beautiful. But here in the studio, we got some lights out here. It's comfortable in here, you know, but the weather out in Cape Canaveral, really along the coastline, is going to be gorgeous. Official sunset this evening is 7:33, so the sun will be slowly going down when liftoff will be happening. Clear skies, temperatures will be nice and comfortable in the lower 70s, but it will be slightly breezy, but the winds will not be that strong. Looking forward to that launch there if it happens, but taking you outside, live look out in Port Canaveral, we're at 76 and winds are calm at the moment, but I last checked saw gusts up to 15 miles per hour. But all in all, it is a beautiful setup this evening. Now for the rest of Central Florida, we're at 81 degrees in Orlando. We saw an official high today at the airport of 83. Along the coastline, a little bit cooler, 72 in New Smyrna Beach and 74 in Daytona Beach. Now we do have a weather alert day on Sunday. We'll talk more about that coming up in a bit. Ginger?
All right, Michelle, thank you. It really is just a beautiful night out here. And if you happen to be out here, we would love to see what you're seeing from your perspective, because we can't be everywhere at once. The easiest way for you to send us your pictures is to take out your phone, scan the QR code you see on your screen right now. That'll take you right to the homepage of clickorlando.com, and that way you can share your pictures with us. We would love to see it. Head to clickorlando.com and put it on the Pin It section, and you might just see your pictures on TV. You likely will, especially if it's a really good shot. And how could you not get a good shot with what's going on out here tonight? It is just gorgeous. I'm looking at the countdown clock that's over my left shoulder here. 25 minutes until go time. I've been monitoring the NASA feed. We haven't heard of any issues popping up just yet. So that's really exciting news. And as I toss it back to Lewis in the studio, Lewis, I'm trying to brace myself for what I'm about to experience for the first time out here tonight. I cannot wait. Troy painted a great picture, so the people also, you know, squeeze your honey, take a picture, look up to the sky and send it to us. We'd love to see all of that stuff. It just sounds so fantastical.
And Ginger, you have the best seat in the house. You said earlier you were getting a little nervous. I'm getting a little nervous too, and I'm wondering what they must be feeling. We are counting down. Ginger, we're going to check back in with you a little bit later. Thank you so much. And again, we are going to bring you the launch live when it happens tonight, right after 7 o'clock, right here on News 6 on clickorlando.com or our News 6 Plus Smart TV app. The kickoff to spring break for most of our school districts is officially here. New Smyrna Beach Police and other Volusia County law enforcement are already out in full force getting ready for the influx of spring breakers the beaches see every year. News 6's Molly Reed rode along with the police today to see the problems they are already facing.
Already we saw a lot of kids getting in trouble, mostly for having alcohol on the beach and underage drinking. That's why the sheriff's office and police department here say they are integrated in the crowds as well.
Please make sure that your kids are supervised. Make sure that they behave themselves because, ultimately, zero tolerance.
That's the message police are giving to parents letting their kids come to New Smyrna this week. Sergeant William Helms heads special operations for the New Smyrna Beach Police Department.
Underage drinking. There are some fights that break out every now and then.
Yeah.
And the underage drinking comes narcotics and firearms at times.
Several teens were arrested for alcohol on Senior Skip Day Thursday. Last month, 2 teens were arrested for gun incidents on President's Day. 52 people were arrested and 200 citations were given during spring break last year. But 2022 was a spring break year that led to this style of enforcement. That's when juvenile arrests jumped 89% for destructive behavior on Flagler Avenue. Now, a curfew is enforced with officers everywhere.
This week it starts with the little things. So it's any and all traffic violations, noise ordinance violations. There's zero tolerance for violations so that the people that are just here to have a good time and enjoy a family-friendly atmosphere get that.
Officers pulling teens over for seatbelt violations before they even hit the beach.
We do have plainclothes officers as well as other technology to be able to keep an eye on things. There's nowhere here out of view. So if you're underage drinking, if you're bringing drugs or weapons to the beach, we're definitely going to find it and enforce it.
In New Smyrna Beach, Volusia County, I'm Molly Reed getting results, News 6.
Yes. Molly, thank you. Coming up, could another pro team soon call Central Florida home? We will dig into the details. We're getting an inside look at how a community resource has been getting results for years from someone who used to use it. You're watching News 6 at 6:30, live on News 6 Plus. We're getting results for all of Central Florida. We will be back in just a moment.
Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Taking a live look at that Falcon 9 rocket with 4 Crew-10 astronauts aboard, we are less than an hour away from Crew-10 taking off from Kennedy Space Station in Cape Canaveral. And we want to get you back out to News 6's Ginger Gaston, who is there live. Hi, Ginger.
Hi, Lewis. It really is getting so close. The excitement is building. We are 19 minutes away from what will be a beautiful launch if this thing happens. And of course, if it happens, one place you can watch it right here. And we'll have it on News 6, on clickorlando.com, and of course on our News 6 Plus smart TV app. So stay with us because we're going to continue to cover this story. It is the best thing going on right now here on the Space Coast, and we're all so excited about it. But I want to switch gears for a little bit and talk about some very cool things happening in our community. And you know, we are very blessed to live in this community, and I love going out and meeting people who live here and who work here and who share stories about what they go through in the community. And I recently had the opportunity to do that when I met Diana Riley, who has a golf nonprofit called Swing with Purpose. They play golf so kids in underserved communities can have a better life. She was able to help raise $50,000 for a group we're very familiar with. It's called the New Image Youth Center in Paramore. And I wanted to see, the more I thought about this story, I wanted to see how in the world the woman who is the executive director and the founder of New Image, Shanta Barton Stubbs, how she has been able to do so much with so few resources. She has been in this area, Paramore area, for 20 years now, and thanks to Swinging with Purpose, she was able to have her 20th summer. So I asked some questions after we did that golf tournament that benefited New Image and found out that, wow, they really do such great work. And I found the perfect person to illustrate why this group is so important in the Paramore community.
This is sweet basil.
Meet Montea Stewart.
Look through and find any of the strawberries that's ready to come out.
A beacon of hope and inspiration at the New Image Youth Center. Today, he's not just tending to the garden. He's nurturing the young minds who have gathered around him. At 29, Monteus admits his thumbs weren't always green.
Before the garden club started, I never really had any interest in it because nobody really, was doing it as much. But when I started, when they started to come out and do it, I was like, let me, test my hand at it.
Montea stands as a testament to the transformative power of community and care. 20 years ago, he was one of those young ones, full of potential, but lacking direction.
Before coming to the center, I didn't really think about my future as much. But when I did come to the center, it was, how is school? How are your grades? How are you doing? And then what do you see yourself in the future?
Hey, you guys. Hey, Lily. How are you?
The person who asked those life-changing questions was Dr. Shanta Barton Stubbs, the founder and director of New Image Youth Center. Her unwavering dedication continues to inspire and guide the kids at the center today.
We had green onions growing in there. We harvested those.
As a kid, Montea says he roamed the streets of Paramore without direction until he found the center.
I was one of the first to be here. It's my second home. When I came in, I was instantly greeted with somebody asking me, you got any homework? You need help with your homework? And no one ever really asked me if I needed help with homework or if I had homework.
What's even more remarkable, this yellow house is where Monteus grew up. It's technically in the parking lot of the center. He never noticed it until he needed it.
If the center wasn't about, I probably wouldn't have went to college. Yeah. And I probably would have dropped out of school at some point. All right, last one.
He studied computer science at Claflin University in South Carolina and now teaches these kids how to code. Despite operating out of two aging buildings on Paramore Avenue, the mission of New Image remains unchanged. They have faced challenges, but they continue to make the most of what they have for the dozens of kids who rely on them. Even with all of the challenges New Image has faced in its current building, just a couple of blocks away on the same street where this former grocery store now sits, represents a cornerstone of hope, a new beginning for New Image. Thanks to Advent Health and the United Way, the center has raised $2 million of the $4.5 million needed for its new building. The state-of-the-art 8,000 square foot two-story youth center will feature 6 classrooms, a flex kitchen, and bring the kids together under one roof. While everything will be brand new, their mission remains steadfast, nurturing young minds, planting seeds for the future, and harvesting hope.
Yeah, I see potential in all of them.
Yeah, it's they are doing such incredible work there at New Image Youth Center in Paramore, but they still need $2.5 million of the $4.5 million needed to get this thing done. They will erase that grocery store on the corner, tear it down, but the building process will take a little longer until they get the rest of those funds. And I know we have people in this community who love the work they're doing, so I know this community will always come through for groups like that one, and it's so important because you saw the work that Monteus is able to do based on his experience with New Image as a kid himself, and I just love telling stories like that one. Louis, as I send it back to you in the studio, it's just one of those things where you wonder where, you know, the money goes, and you saw the $50,000 from the golf tournament helping them stay open, and that's important for people to see that that's how the work gets done. It's people like Diana Riley who care enough to support groups like that one.
Ginger, that is such a great story, and it just goes to show that sometimes all kids need is to see that someone cares about them and a little bit of direction. But Ginger, I have enjoyed your coverage so much. Can we just run down your week for a minute? You did storm coverage on Monday. You were out in the field doing storm coverage. You did an attempted launch on Wednesday. You're back out for the launch tonight. And oh, by the way, throw in a story about an amazing youth center. You are not afraid to leave the studio, are you, ma'am?
You know, neither, Louis, I'm trying to keep up with you, okay? So don't even act like you don't do this on a daily basis. So it just makes us, I always tell people, very little to no news ever happens in a newsroom in a studio. It all happens out here in the community, and that's where the work is being done. And when you see the work that New Image Youth Center is doing, I said, that's the Lord's work these people are doing. And anytime you get to showcase the Lord's work, sign me up. I am here for it.
Let's go. Don't get me shouting in here, okay? Ginger, I have thoroughly enjoyed your coverage. Thank you so much. And let's check in with meteorologist Michelle Morgan. And Michelle, Sunday is going to be a problem, but for tonight, for the launch, picture perfect.
Picture perfect, and it's looking beautiful out there, Louis. Today, we saw a daytime high of 83 degrees, a little bit above that average mark of 79. It was nice and warm, the humidity levels nice and low, and we saw abundant sunshine and no rain through the afternoon, and it's going to stay nice and dry through tonight. Temperatures are still pretty toasty across the peninsula. 80 in Kissimmee and Claremont, 71 in Palm Coast, and 70 in New Smyrna Beach. Cocoa Beach at 76, and Cape Canaveral, where Ginger is at, we're at 76 degrees. So here's a look at your pinpoint weather forecast for DeLand.
Your forecast is sponsored by the Florida Lottery.
Looking good. We'll see mainly clear skies, temperatures falling slowly into the middle 60s by 11 and then cooling down nicely as we go through the overnight hours. But as we look at your temperatures for tomorrow, it is going to be warmer than today. Many spots will be nearing 90. That includes Wildwood, the Villages, Ocala, seeing a daytime high of 89. Orlando at 88 degrees. A little bit cooler along the coast because of the winds. We're at 80 in New Smyrna Beach, 81 in Daytona Beach, and 78 in Cape Canaveral. So if you are planning a beach day tomorrow, even on Sunday, we're good to go, and that moderate rip current risk will be in place. So just make sure you are swimming near a lifeguard. I do want to talk about this here. You're looking at the satellite and radar imagery. I zoomed out here just to show you this weather system that I am tracking. It is a very strong weather system associated with a warm and cold front, and it's already causing problems for areas across the Midwest. Looking at strong thunderstorms moving across parts of Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri this afternoon. Now, this cold front will be approaching our area on Sunday, but look at the severe weather risk in the next 3 days. So today, tomorrow, and Sunday, parts of the Ohio Valley stretching into the deep south under a moderate risk of seeing tornadoes, damaging winds, heavy rain, large hail. And then on Saturday, most of that severe weather risk has shifted to the deep south. And again, a very rare high risk for parts of Mississippi as well as Alabama. There you can see it in the magenta. And anytime we see that, we are looking at long-lived violent tornadoes, and that will be Saturday. For us here at home, we are looking at a marginal risk where we can see 1 or 2 strong thunderstorms, heavy rain, and small hail. So here's a look at your 7-day forecast. 88 tomorrow, 89 on Sunday. It is a weather alert day, and then we'll see rain moving in Sunday afternoon into Monday morning. We'll be right back.
Could an MLB baseball team be coming right here to Orlando? That's what it looks like, at least. A group of investors based here in Orlando called the Orlando Dreamers say they are willing to put up around $1 billion to place a 45,000 seat dome stadium right here off of International Drive and next to SeaWorld. The Dreamers are a local group of investors created by the man who brought the Magic to Orlando, the late Pat Williams. They say they locked in an anchor investor to buy a team and a letter of intent to pay $1.7 billion for the stadium project. 2 years after releasing these designs for a future stadium, local baseball fan Victor Walker, who lives near I-Drive, says it would be a dream come true.
I think it's a good idea, is because as we do have high school and baseball, and people would like a major league baseball.
But others like Sydney Turner say it would be a nightmare.
Well, we already have Epic right here. I live behind this property, and I know it's going to be congested. So just for the traffic and parking situations, I'm a little, I don't want to say I'm against it, but I'm really not for it.
As for the team, one possibility they could buy, the Tampa Bay Rays. This week, the franchise pulled out of a $1.3 billion park deal in St. Pete. Former UCF sports history professor Richard Capew says this is the closest Orlando has been to bringing a baseball team here.
This is not a very healthy franchise, and it's a franchise that is to some degree subsidized by revenue sharing and by the commissioner's office.
Would it be the same way for Orlando area, or would it actually be more profitable here?
I mean, I've always argued that it would be more profitable here. That part of the big problem, I think, in St. Petersburg was the location of the stadium.
If they do get a stadium up and running, is that it? Is that all they need, or is there some more steps they need to take?
Well, they've got to somehow pry the team away from Tampa, and I'm sure Tampa will fight this.
Capew says there's also a possibility MLB could put an expansion team here in Orlando if the team stays in Tampa. He says the commissioner wants to add 2 more teams to the league, but under one condition.
The Tampa Bay Rays will argue that a new team in Orlando will be an infringement on their territory, and that will have to be sorted out.
Capew says the group should also consider putting the stadium further west near Polk County. I reached out to the Orlando Dreamers to see if they had their sights set on the Rays. They didn't want to answer right now and told me that they'll have more to say later. In Orlando, Jarrell Baker, Getting Results, News 6.
Thanks for watching News 6 at 6:30. Remember, we break news on clickorlando.com. Take care.
Breaking news alert.
Breaking right now, the final preps are being made to the Falcon 9 rocket that will send astronauts to the International Space Station. A live look from Kennedy Space Center, where in just a few minutes, this rocket is expected to lift off to the stars. Good evening, I'm Louis Bolden. We interrupt Inside Edition to get you to some breaking news. A crew of astronauts set to take off to the International Space Station. We want to get you straight to our Ginger Gadsden. She is live at the Kennedy Space Center. And Ginger, lots of excitement on our Space Coast tonight.
Louis, the excitement has been building all day long. We've been here before, but it looks like this thing is going to happen. We are now just about 2 minutes out from go time. Those 4 astronauts inside that Dragon capsule sitting on top of that Falcon 9 rocket. My colleague James Barbero is here now. He joins us live to talk about this is more than just a launch. It's also a kind of a rescue mission. James?
Hi, Ginger. So exciting as we're counting down here. So those of us in the media have often referred to it as a rescue mission, and that Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams were stranded on the International Space Station. NASA and the astronauts themselves don't like to use those vocabularies. So instead, it's more like Butch and Sunny have been stuck at the space station because their Boeing Starliner capsule was unable to fly them home. And now they need the Crew-10 astronauts tonight to launch to the space station to get the wheels in motion for their departure from the station finally and get them home as soon as next week. That's the good news according to NASA. So as Butch and Sunny await their departure, the launch tonight will include 2 Americans and then a Japanese astronaut and a Russian cosmonaut. Crew-10 is going to be the 10th full-length operational mission to the space station. They've been doing this now for 5 years, NASA and SpaceX's partnership. It was May of 2020, if you can remember the big Demo 2 launch. And now here we are 5 years later, about to send the next crew of 4 to the space station, Ginger. It's very exciting, and we know that booster is going to land here at Cape Canaveral. I think that might be the first time you get to hear it in person.
I can't, James, I'm bracing myself for the sonic boom that will rock my world, I'm sure, and that usually happens about 8 minutes after liftoff. But before we get to those booms, we have to get to liftoff. And as I look at the clock over my shoulder right now, we're less than a minute out. I want to listen in to Mission Control now to hear their call out. Let's listen in. Okay, here we are. We are less than a minute away, some 16 seconds from this rocket taking off and heading to the International Space Station. This will be the 4th trip for this particular Dragon Endurance, heading to the International Space Station with those 4 astronauts on board. 2 of them first time on a spacecraft flying to the International Space Station. So let's listen. Well, that was a picture-perfect launch. I'm listening to the NASA feed to make sure that everything is nominal.
Then the single Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage will ignite and continue to carry Crew-10 to orbit.
Could not have
And back ignition.
any more flawlessly. They're just 2 minutes. Okay, that was perfect. If you're out here, you're probably not watching it right now, but I can tell you right now, I have goosebumps, and I felt that whole launch through my entire body. That was awesome. So, okay, I'm going to have to stop fangirling right now, but it is just such a modern marvel, and it is a miracle to witness that every single time we see it. They are on their way to the International Space Station, and by all accounts, this launch is going off without a hitch. It's what we've been out here getting ready for. It's what those astronauts have spent their life preparing for, and right now it looks like it is going flawlessly. We are just about 3 minutes into this launch, and about 8 minutes we're going to hear those sonic booms. I don't know if we're going to stay with you on programming until that happens, but I have to tell you, if you are out here for it, if you've been out here for this launch, you just witnessed something that was really spectacular. And with it being the first time I've been able to be out here for a launch like this one, it is something I will never forget. It really could not have been any better and more beautiful. And I apologize for going over on the count there. It was right over my shoulder, and I just got so excited I kept talking. But wow, I'm going to turn around and look and see what's left. It is just magical out here right now. Thank you so much for joining us for this spectacular launch. They are on their way to the International Space Station, which means Butch and Sunny are a step closer to coming on home. Thank you for joining us for this special breaking coverage of that Crew-10 launch. We'll take you out now to Troy Campbell, who is out on the beach. Troy, what was it like from your perspective? Because right now I'm trying to hold it together and I'm barely making it.
Yeah, everyone started clapping at some point, and then we heard that sonic boom. If you take a look behind me, just so many people came out here. I'd have to say there has to be at least a couple thousand people stretched here along Cocoa Beach. The cool thing is you have babies we have elderly people. The cool thing also having the beach here, the kids in the water, so that, kind of gave them something to do while they waited for the launch. But soon as we got close, everyone's eyes were up in the sky, cheering and in awe. And while there are some people who are leaving here right now, a lot of people actually, they just haven't moved. They're still looking up in the sky, wanting to follow the updates through and through as they look at this view. We had spoke to people who came out here who knew they wanted to get their seat and they knew about the launch. We had others, because it's spring break, who didn't know that the launch would be happening. We informed them, they find out, and you can only imagine how much more special that makes their trip. We also spoke with people who said that they were happy that it got scrubbed on Wednesday because they wouldn't be in town here until Friday. And everyone out here is cheering. So we're going to toss it back over to you, James Sparvero. I'm going to toss it over to you. What a launch we just witnessed.
Hey Troy, so you've got one of the best seats in the house right now. I always think if you're at the beach or at Jetty Park or at Port Canaveral, you actually are a little bit closer to that booster landing. So I've got my eyes on the sky as all the photographers are looking up too, because I believe we just saw the booster make its re-entry burn. And so now in just about 1 minute, it's a clear sky. I can see it right now. It's really incredible. Ginger's going to feel the boom for the first time, I believe. But before we hear that, in just a few seconds, it's important to note that SpaceX is reporting that everything is going good upon ascent. They're calling.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I see it.
National Space Station. Had they launched on Wednesday, it would have taken them just 11 hours to get there, they said. But launching today, changing the optics, things that are far beyond what we understand. Okay, so the booster's on camera. There it is. Amazing shot from SpaceX cameras. That's the kind of shot as a photographer you dream about. Ginger, can you see it for yourself? Oh, you felt it all right. Ginger's going to need a minute. Ginger's going to need a minute, but I can't wait to hear what she says.
Oh my God.
The best part, even if you know it's coming, you don't know exactly when you're going to feel it.
Oh my God. Okay.
Ginger, you need another
apologize,
minute?
That was unprofessional. James, how do you deal with this all the time? This is incredible. I just disturbed a whole crew of reporters and photographers over here a second ago because I literally screamed when that thing went boom. That was fantastic. Listen, if you don't enjoy space, I don't know what else to tell you. That right there was just the money shot. My body is still shaking from feeling all of it. I am so happy and so fortunate that I had the opportunity to be out here and share that with you guys. And hopefully you got it as excited as I am right now, because that was something to behold. Incredible. I'm going to send it in the studio right now to Lewis Bolden and compose myself. And I apologize for being unprofessional when that sonic boom happened, but I wasn't ready.
Absolutely
Lewis,
not.
Back to you.
No need to apologize. That was not unprofessional. That was a real human reaction. And even though you knew it was coming, it snuck up on you. It was your first time experiencing that. So that was fantastic coverage. Ginger, James, and Troy, that was wonderful. Thank you guys so much for watching us. Right now, we're gonna send it back to Inside Edition. Take care.
This has been a News 6 breaking news alert. For continuing coverage of this developing story, go to clickorlando.com.